let's get to Newcastle's training ground and Keith there, Keith. There's just a lot going on right now, and you understand that more than most people, right? Things have moved on significantly with Sesko in the last 24 hours. Bring it up to speed.
Yeah, we told you on Saturday, Tom, that Newcastle had made that first formal bid for Benjamin Sesko. It essentially was the £70 million that Leipzig are looking for, but it was £65 million plus £5 million in add-ons. What Leipzig said was, look, it does essentially meet their valuation, but they like to renegotiate the structure and the payment terms over that deal. So as a result of that, Newcastle then went back in last night with another offer, so to speak, again £70 million, but up front plus some potential add-ons as well. So we're yet to hear back from RB Leipzig as to whether they will accept that offer, but it does meet their valuation in terms of the figure. And Newcastle have also had some encouragement over the last 24 hours that Sesko would be open to the move. We've known for a while that he's open to both Newcastle United and Manchester United. One source actually told us last week that he favoured a move to Manchester United. But as it stands, Newcastle's offer for Sesko is the only offer that is on the table. And I think as far as Newcastle are concerned, they can't wait around forever, because if Alexander Isak is to be allowed to go, they want to ensure that they have a replacement in first. So yeah, they've had that encouragement that Sesko would be keen on a move to Newcastle United, coupled with that new bid. As I say, £70 million plus some add-ons. It feels as though this transfer is beginning to move, and I think the next 24 to 48 hours could be telling.
Well, it is interesting because we have been expecting Manchester United to come in for him as well. But like you say, Newcastle's bid's the only one at the table right now. How worried are Newcastle that Manchester United will come in eventually?
Look, I think there's an internal worry, yes, because we keep getting told, the noises are that Manchester United are there, but they're not there in terms of a formal offer. It's only Newcastle who at this stage have made an offer for Benjamin Sesko and said, look, we want to sign you. I think there is an internal concern that perhaps the player does favour Manchester United, but of course those positive noises came out last night that he is open to a move to Newcastle United and that he is keen to discuss that and consider that. So it feels like we are getting to an end point. I think there's also just an internal concern as well that with him saying that he would be keen for a move to Newcastle United, is that just the smoke out interest from Manchester United, or is that real? And I think, taken on face value, I think Newcastle trust that it is real, and that is why they've gone in with that newly structured offer for him last night. As I say, the numbers add up to what RB Leipzig are looking for, and the decision, I would suggest, now rests with the player. But as it stands, as I've touched on there, Tom, he only has one club to choose from at the moment, because Manchester United are yet to formalise their own offer. Now, why is that? Is it because they're trying to get players out the door first? Are they trying to work themselves around PSR? Are they just playing the waiting game? It feels like there's a number of games being played here, but Newcastle clearly stating their intent with that new bid last night. And as I say, it feels like we're getting to the crunch point in this transfer.
Yeah, it does appear so. Remember, all of this is going on while the Alexander Isak situation is going on too. Where is he now, do you know, and when will he rejoin the first team?
He's in the building behind me, Tom, right now, recovering from that minor thigh injury that he reported just under 2 weeks ago when he failed to travel to Asia for Newcastle's pre-season tour and instead went on a self-imposed training camp to Spain, to the Real Sociedad training camp, which of course, ground should I say, which of course was lying empty at the time. So he was back in yesterday on his own, receiving some treatment. He's back in again today. You would expect he's going to meet with manager Eddie Howe, because Eddie Howe came out, of course, when he was over in South Korea and said he learnt that Isak had travelled to Real Sociedad to recuperate and train. He found that out through the media. So the optics of the whole thing has not been good. It feels like talks definitely have to take place in the next couple of days, if not today, between Isak and his manager. Of course, remember, Newcastle only returned from South Korea just over 24 hours ago. So the players were given off yesterday, and today, as I understand it, it's just Isak who's going through his recovery, a little bit of individual training, probably some gym work himself as well. So he spent over a week over in Spain, flew back in on Saturday night and came back in here yesterday morning. So this is day 2 now of his return to Newcastle United. And as I say, talks will take place. Now, Isak, as we know, is keen on a move to Liverpool, and as we know, Liverpool are very keen on him. They had that bid last Friday, turned down by Newcastle, £110 million plus add-ons. But my understanding is that if Newcastle managed to sign Benjamin Sesko, and as we've been saying there, that move is advanced, then Isak will potentially be allowed to leave if Liverpool come up with an offer that Newcastle deemed to be fair. So they had the 110 plus add-ons turned down. My suggestion would be they're going to have to add on a little bit more to that to get a deal done. Isak is agitating to leave, as we know, but Newcastle will not let him leave until they've got what they believe a ready-made replacement in. Benjamin Sesko is that man, but as yet, they've yet to get that deal over the line.
Keith, thank you. Hi, Mark. We've been doing the show since 2019. I can't remember 3 bits of breaking news in one advert breaking. I've never been good enough to deal with that. Right, let's go to. There's a lot to talk about. Let's just stick with Isak, because that's what we were talking about last there with Keith. Because it's all to do with this Benjamin Sesko deal. But with Isak, it seems like his relationship with Eddie Howe may have changed, because at first, Eddie Howe said, "I just want what's best for the player. I want the player to be happy, etc." And then suddenly it was like, you've got to earn the right to train with the first team, no players bigger than the club, etc. Can you understand why that relationship has changed over the last few days?
Yeah, the dynamic shifted, hasn't it? And it's been quite a tetchy sort of week, 10 days, 2 weeks or so since this initial interest from Liverpool was made public. And then, of course, we've had a different story, and the whole situation has gone in a different direction at every single stage over the last couple of weeks or so. And I should imagine for Eddie Howe, who's just trying to focus on building a winning team to compete in the Premier League and the Champions League, to have his star striker at the centre of what seems to be a tug of war and a lot of media speculation, it will be doing a lot of damage to what he wants to do and cultivate that culture and that spirit and that togetherness, which has been such a huge factor of Newcastle United's success since he went into the North East. You know, this is not what he wants at all. Eddie Howe historically has always wanted his transfer business done really early in the window so that he can spend a good 6 weeks working with the players, working with the new players, so that they can understand and adapt to the systems and setup that he wants. So this is not ideal in so many situations. But like we've always been saying, and like Keith touched upon there, Alexander Isak will only leave Newcastle United if they have what they feel are suitable replacements in that department ready to go. You know, he will not get his wish unless Newcastle United are happy and satisfied they have the squad and the players that they deem to be good enough. And that's where the problem lies, because this is one sort of set of dominoes, but only one will fall when something else gets put in exactly the right place. And Newcastle United will not go into this season without strikers that they feel capable of competing. No. And that's the biggest problem that they have with letting Isak go, should they decide to let him go, is that they need to get replacements sorted out first.
Well, that's him, yes. Benjamin Sesko, behind us. Now, Newcastle, like Keith says, that's the only bid on the table right now.
Yeah.
Which part of you thinks, well, Newcastle are trying the hardest to get him, so he should go to Newcastle. But Newcastle went in for Hugo Ekitike and he went to Liverpool.
Yeah.
So how complicated is this, and how hard are Newcastle going to have to work to get this one done before he gets his head turned by anyone else?
Now, ultimately, I always think you can't convince a player to come if he doesn't want to come. You can sell him the dream, sell him the project, explain what you're going to do to him, how you're going to transform him as a player, turn him into a top-class Champions League striker. He scored 4 goals in the Champions League last season, but can he go and better that? Can he get to the latter stages? Is he going to win the silverware that perhaps he wants to do whilst he's at this football club? And that's part of the job that Eddie Howe and his backroom team have to do, and say, look, this is the next right step for you.